Hello, everybody. Hi, happy New Year,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello.
Welcome.
Happy New Year. Wait.
Oh, gee, here we go.
Wait.
Yay.
Oh,
I don't know
make
if
sure it's
Uh,
safe,
yeah, take your
yeah.
time.
Alicia.
There we go. All right.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Oh my gosh, Alicia.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. Make sure you put that out before we
It
begin here
is.
so
It is.
we
It
don't have
is.
the most epic show ever, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I
It's,
love it. I
oh, I.
love it. I love it. Well, welcome to Coach's Corner. This is the first one of 2025, and we're here to help you and serve. I'm really excited to start this amazing year. Not only, with my amazing colleagues here, but also this is your year, your new year, your new you. So I'm Jamel Matias. I'm a certified Proctor Gallagher consultant, mindset success coach, or Bob Proctor coach, whichever floats your boat. But I'm here to basically help you and express this beautiful knowledge. And today we're talking about some amazing things. I'm actually in Maryland, on the East Coast. We're expecting a lot of snow tomorrow. And, it's bringing in the new year and, tying in with the holidays here. So, and also my Instagram is Believe in the Unseen. So it's all about faith over fear. And we're talking about fear today. So I'll pass it on to my amazing colleague, Lou.
Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. I am so grateful to be here with you all and my amazing colleagues here. We are missing Paul. So, Paul is a dive coach in Canada. So, he has a competition this weekend. So, we're rooting for Paul and his team. So, Paul will be back with us next week. So, my name is Lou Perican, and I am also a success mindset mentor. And what I do is I help growth minded women break free from all that, hustle and grind by guiding them to work from the inside out. And together, what we do is we bring clarity to their desires, we nurture fulfillment, and we help empower them to show up as their best authentic selves for lasting success. So, not fleeting temporary success, but lasting success. And I am located currently right now in Georgia, and they're talking about snow here as well. And I don't know, next week or sometime this week. So, but I'm also located in Maine during the summer. So I'm here if you need me. Alicia.
Yeah. Again. Happy New Year. So this is the. Uh, I am Alicia Espinosa. I'm also a values and mindset coach, and I help people to create a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. And how we do that is that I help clarify the values, the core values of the people, and then also the mindset that they need to create that fulfillment. I am based in Sweden, and yeah, and we have also here warning for the snow, the storm
Eek.
coming. This start this evening. It will come a lot of
Oh my
snow.
gosh.
Yeah. So it's like you need to go like because your thing will be frozen if you last. And we are not so cold at the moment, like minus 10 degrees Celsius. So yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
burr.
Normally it's a little bit more, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. In the US, whenever you say minus degrees, we think a lot colder because of the conversion of Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, this is awesome. We're excited, and we're sending amazing energy to Paul. He's
Yeah.
here with us today. And this topic everyone faces. And this topic is so important to understand because a lot of people may not, truly understand what fear is. And, our goal for today is basically to give you more insight and also to help you with this knowledge, because fear can be a good thing. A lot of people think fear is bad. I use fear my whole life, but knowingly, maybe towards the later end of it, because I didn't understand what fear really is. So we'll go deep, I'm sure, and we'll have an amazing conversation. So before I forget, make sure you comment. Feel free to drop any questions, whatever platform you're on, because we are always open to hearing from you. And speaking of hearing from you, we want to talk to you as well, about this material and help you with this material, because it's a new year, a new you. We're leaving last year behind, and this is all about growth and basically what you want to achieve, what goals you have, right? So let's dive right in. To start off with a great question here, and we'll talk about this, but the terror barrier, which is essentially a lot of fear, often feels like an insurmountable obstacle, but it's also the gateway to the growth we desire. So what strategies or mindset shifts have you personally used or recommended to clients to confront and move through this fear, especially when it feels paralyzing? So that is a very powerful question to get to this conversation started. Whoever wants to dive at that one.
Well, I'll start off. So, like, before I started to understand me, before I started to understand this material, or learn about this material, I should say, fear to me just paralyzed me. It was just a feeling. I never questioned it. I never tried to understand it. I just knew it stopped me dead in my tracks for the most part. Um, so it wasn't until I started to learn about what fear truly is, and to learn how to embrace it. Because what it was showing me is I was doing something that I'm not familiar with, I'm not comfortable with, and it was outside of my comfort zone. So the more I started to study the material, the more I started to study and understand what my emotions were always how they were trying to guide me and what they were telling me, the more I understood it, the more I didn't necessarily have less fear. The fear can still be there. But now with the understanding and what it's doing for me, I've learned to just take a deep breath and just move forward, because I understand that the fear is part of the process of growth. And I use the example, like with clients, and this is something I think I want to do, but let's just say you want to jump out of a plane, okay? And you've never done it before. And you just go up in the plane and you're terrified. You're terrified. But the more, if you practice learning about how the whole process of jumping out of a plane works, if you understand the mechanics of the parachute, the materials, how the parachute works, how you have a guide, if you watch maybe some films of people that have jumped out of planes, if you start to visualize yourself, when it is the actual time, you're probably still going to be very scared. But the understanding of the process will help you move through that terror barrier. And I also like to call the terror barrier the opportunity wall, opportunity door, because everything we want is on that other side. So the fear is kind of like pushing us, but mentally we go, no, 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 because we may not understand what the whole process of fear is, and actually building the courage to go through it, knowing what you want is on the other side. And this is why each one of these calls and each one of these lessons piggyback on one another. That's why learning and understanding why your goal is something that really needs to be emotional. If I want to jump out of a plane, I better really, really, really want to jump out of a plane in order for me to take that step, right? They say count on three and they push you on two, right out the door. So I think that understanding the process and what is happening is an enormous part of going through that terror barrier.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
I love it. Alicia?
Yeah, I when I talk with my clients about fear and the terror barrier, we talk about always the we start talking about growth as you talk, Lou, because when we grow, we need to be willing to embrace the changes that we are going through, and when we embrace those change, then it's more easy that we think that, okay, it doesn't matter what happened around me. We embrace also the unknown, because we can get two different fear: the fear that I don't have the skills, I don't know how to do that, if I have the knowledge or the resources and that. But we have also the fear of the unknown, and and the fear of the unknown for me is a lot with the ego. Or ego needs, it wants to be safe
Mhm.
and have security. Safe, that I will survive, my survive mode. So if I survive this, will I survive this? But if I don't know what is the other side of this terror barrier, ha- I might have some fear there for surviving. And also the security. Will if I don't succeed, will I be loved anyway? Will people don't like me or something like that? And also one more fear that the ego has is the I'm good enough. Maybe I'm not good enough, you know? So those fear make, because I divide that the goals is your when you are so emotional involved in your goals, is your soul that want this thing, but the fear of the ego stopping you. And it's the fear of the ego that makes you be paralyzed and not want to go through this uncertain time, or to work. This is how I talked. And it is, fear is more like, I don't know what to do if something happened. This is what fear is.
Mhm.
It's not anything. It's like, I don't know what to do if something happens. But when you embrace that, I say, oh, okay, but I have everything within me to achieve whatever I want, or how to achieve that. You can get some help, or you can, you know, get support from some people, but knowing that you have everything within you. Yeah, is how I talk with my clients about that.
Yeah, I love that. So many thoughts come to mind with faith versus fear. And you said within you. Notice how some people can fear one thing and the other person doesn't have that same fear,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? So faith and fear, I always loved when Bob shared this. You have to basically believe in the unseen. So it allows you to, it's unseen. So fear, it's unseen, but it's seen to you.
Yeah.
To every person watching this very uniquely, fear something, right? And faith, you have to believe in something you don't see there as well. So it's in spirit, or basically the opposite of the physical plane, right? Um, so it's so interesting that you mentioned that because it makes me think a lot about how fear is misunderstood. It could either make you run, make you move, or it can hold you still, right? So a lot of people, it's interesting because people like to be comfortable usually because they fear change,
Mm.
but they desire more.
Yeah.
So the reason why you're not moving or taking different actions or doing something that's uncomfortable is because fear is winning, and it's tied into the paradigm that we were, talking about as well. And I always love that story about the tale of the two wolves. You know,
Mm.
which wolf are you feeding? The wolf of faith or the wolf of fear? Right? Every day, Alicia, Lou, Paul, everybody that watches this, we have this option in every waking moment. Are we feeding the wolf that we don't want to grow or get stronger every day? The wolf of fear, right? And as he gets stronger, you'll continuously stay in this comfort zone, which is the prison, right? That's the known prison that you created for yourself. Or are we feeding the wolf of faith? Every day doing something uncomfortable. You're becoming comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm going to get on camera and share, how that resonated with me today, what Alicia said. I'm going to get on camera and tell my sister, hey, you know what I heard today? Anything that you're uncomfortable to do, that is basically the higher version of you. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. um, and thanks, Alicia, for bringing this to my attention. So we're actually going to share my screen here and kind of break it down just a little bit. Is it a good time for that, ladies?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
And while you say that, so I, I have this. It's like, you need to know when are you giving the microphone to this that they talk so high, higher volume that your own, you know, desires.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Are you able to see my screen there?
Yep.
Yes.
I can see
Okay,
it.
good. Good. So this is basically to gather.
Maybe if you do the whole, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is kind of understand a little bit more of what's happening with fear, right? This is the stick man, also known as a secret genie that we covered, I think, a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. If you missed that, make sure you go back and watch that replay because we talked very in depth about what this image is, but it's basically an image of your mind, right? So here's the top part is your conscious mind, which is also known as your thinking mind. The bottom is your subconscious, also known as the emotional mind. And down here is your body, right? So, and these little antennas are sensory factors, basically how you interact with your environment. You can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, right? So, what's happening with fear, there's different levels of fear, right? Here's bondage. A lot of people are stuck here. This could be you right now. You're stuck in bondage from 2024, right? You're thinking about the same type of thoughts, the same type of vibrational state, obviously, but you're also feeling the same based on what you're thinking, and you're getting the same vibration, and thus you have the same results every day, right? It's kind of like I remember in school way back, you had pretty much the same food in elementary all week, right? I lived in a little town for a little while, and we had like what was called the tater tot casserole, where they just threw tater tots and just threw everything in there. I was like, string beans, there's peas in there, there's corn. It's just weird. So we were in bondage, right? We got the same experience. And sometimes you get stuck there, right? You're like, okay, there's nothing else to eat. This is what we eat. I'm stuck here. I know that's an interesting example, but you kind of get the idea. So reason is when you start thinking about a new idea, right? So this is a new idea. What do you want to do for this year that you haven't done before, but that you haven't been thinking about for a long time or all last year, right? Or an idea that came to you today or this year, right? For New Year's resolution. So now you're thinking about it. Notice it's only in your conscious mind. right? And your subconscious is still stuck in 2024, feeling the same way, you know, and your body's at the same vibration as your subconscious. And here, this is where you're facing the terror barrier. So this is when you start taking that idea that you're thinking about, that you've never done, that's freaking you out, that you're really afraid about, you're really scared. And what you're doing, you're constantly thinking, okay, what if I do start that business? What if I do earn my first six figures or multiple six figures or my first seven figures? It doesn't matter, whatever level that you're on, or that first, promotion or that job or that house or whatever you want to achieve, right? Whatever your goal is, you keep thinking about it and you're getting excited. I'm really going to do this. Even with coaching, right? I'm really going to start coaching with one of the consultants there. You're thinking about it. You're thinking about it. How long are you going to think about it, right? Some people, they bounce between these levels constantly, right? So you're thinking about it. Notice that new ideas, you're starting to feel it. You start to feel it. And now you have old conditioning mixed with, that new idea. You're getting emotionally involved. What's happening? Your vibration, your whole body's at a different state. So you want to stay where you were, but you want to move forward. And here's that wall of fear we're talking about, the terror barrier. You're terrified because I don't know how I can afford that. I don't know how much time that will take. I don't know how I can do that. This is your rational mind trying to make sense of all of this, right? And this is the gather understanding. So you have the option. Once you hit this wall of fear, known as the terror barrier, you can go back to comfort, back to bondage, or back to reason. Let's just go back to thinking about it. I'll think about it some more this week. Or you can break through that wall of fear that you've been basically scared of for however long, right? To freedom. So basically, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Are you going to the treasure this year? So this is to get an understanding of what different levels of fear is based on what's going on in your mind and in your body. Ladies, did you want to add anything there?
I can. Can you just bring the screen back up?
Yeah, sure.
So because I work many times with real estate agents, I typically use the person who's always been a tenant and maybe wants to now think about owning a home. So if you can bring up that slide, I think using the example might help. Wonderful. So let's go to bondage. This is a tenant that has always rented in his or her adult life. And they're very comfortable. They like being able to just call up the landlord and say, hey, there's a leak, the toilet's running or whatever. And they become very comfortable being a tenant. The thought of owning a home to them never really entered their mind because they've been renting for so long. But one day they get a knock on the door from the landlord, and the landlord says, hey, my daughter's going to be moving in. I need this apartment. So now the tenant, he's been through this before. He's lived in different places. And so it's always something that has him up and leave. And he's getting a little bit tired of it. So he's telling his friends, hey, I got to find a new place to live. And the friends start saying to him, so we're going into the next, the reasoning, why don't you buy a house? And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I really want to. I don't think I want the responsibilities. So, but the more he starts to think about it, it would be nice. I don't have to, every time get that knock on the door and I have to up and leave. It would be nice to own my own dog. Mm-hmm. I've never been able to own a pet because the landlord wouldn't allow it. I was never able to paint the walls any color I wanted. I always had to keep them white, right? I never had a backyard. I didn't really have maybe my own parking space in front of the house. I had to park down the street. So now this tenant is starting to think in his conscious thinking mind about the possibilities and the benefits of owning a home. But it's still in his thinking mind. He's still in his thinking mind. So He's like, well, I don't know, what should I do? But the more he's starting to think about it, he's starting now to get, so going over to the Terror Bear, he's starting now to think about it. He's getting emotionally connected to the thought of owning a home, right? He calls up the realtor. He starts making the move. He's really thinking, but now the realtor starts to show him a house. And now here comes the time. He finds the house. It's time to put an offer on the house, and boom. Because you see, the ex conditioning has been there for decades.
Yeah.
He's never owned a home. And all the what ifs. How am I going to do it? Will I really be able to afford this? Do I really, really want this? So his new idea of being a homeowner is fighting. It's like, what is it? Like oil and water, right? The ex conditioning of being a tenant has been there for decades. So we're introducing this new idea and they're kind of clashing, right? And this is when he hits the terror barrier. He really wants that house, but all the what ifs. What if I can't make it? What if I fail? What if, right? So this is where the real estate agent, if the real estate agent understands this process, and it is a process, we all go through this same process, no matter what the goal is, it's always the same process. So this is why understanding it, you're able to help your clients through. So with us, we understand this process. So when our clients come across doing something and they just freeze, we understand it's part of the process. What it's showing you is, I mentioned, I think it was last week, the electric fence in our backyard. You see something beyond that electric fence, and as you approach the fence to go over it, zzz, you get zapped. And it's because, just like Alicia says, it's a conditioned belief that you don't think you can do that. And this belief wants to keep you safe, wants to keep you in your backyard, because that's what it does. That's what it's been conditioned to believe. But we know what we want is outside, on the other side of that electric fence. So being able to understand the process and being able to walk your clients through that, understand we all go through it, and it's the unknown that's making us, hold back. But once you understand, this is just part of the growth process. You have a better understanding. And now this is when I really call it the opportunity door. You're going to open a new door that will change the trajectory of your life, but you must go through that door.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jamel, for bringing that up.
And
Oh, you're welcome.
what I want to say also is that when you go through this terror barrier, this new condition will be your new comfort zone. And understand that, because sometimes people say, oh, but you are not fear of that this, so you don't fear this. I fear a lot, but because I know that the fear is part of my growth, so I know that when my fears came in, then it's because the thing that I want will keep me go outside the comfort zone. So I normally say that you need to expand your comfort zone, because when you do this thing that you are afraid of doing, then your comfort zone will expand. And next time you put a new goal that is higher, or that need that you need to grow even more, then you will get again this fear, because it's in our brain, it's wired in our brain. So it's always, as soon as you go outside what is comfort zone for you, you will meet the fear. And then you need to make a decision. Should I go for that? Or should I go, or it's better to run to the safety? But then at times, I here. So times run and you never know how much you have. You only know this time is now and what it was. So it's important that you know that how do I want to use my time? Is for something that I love, or is better to stay in this safety? Because the ego will always want to keep you in the safe. And the ego is not our enemy. It's just he or she is protecting the concept we have of ourselves. So if you have a concept that, oh no, I cannot, I don't know how to do it, the ego will protect that. So it's why, like, what is your soul's desire, and go for that. And I don't say that you will never meet the fear, but then you will meet that. And I know, I forgot my cup of tea there. I normally invite my fears to drink tea with me and discuss. Okay, what do you want from me? What do I need to learn? What do I need to let it go? And so have a conversation. Those
Very
guys.
cool. Very
No?
cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You personified fear. You gave it a body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how my fears, I call it terry, not coming from the terror barrier, but from terry. This small dogs that is like
Terrier. Yeah, terrier.
yeah. I call my my fear terry.
Oh, Terry, that's
The
funny.
terry, they are barking all the time. Without, like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that brings a thought, use fear as a guide, because especially for those that want to grow, this is why a goal is so important. It gives you direction on where you're headed in life, headed this year. And what happens, you're going to face fear. And that fear, use it as like a compass. It's guiding you to a higher version of yourself and also the results that you seek. So sometimes you want to turn the opposite way. I remember sharing, I was scared to get on camera, scared to talk to people. I love it. So I was running backwards, but then I made one day a decision to go towards what I was afraid of. I was afraid to invest in myself, did it anyway, tremendously. So I kept using fear as almost like a partner, kind of like, oh, okay, buddy, we're going that way, right? And look at the world, look at all the great inventions. We're on laptops and got cameras, lighting stuff, microphones. You got smartphones. We got spaceships they're doing moon stuff now. Look at the world and all the great inventions, right? And imagine the type of fear these people had, even telling someone else, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create Bluetooth where you can transmit signals wirelessly through the air. That was radio back in the day, AM, FM, then it had XM, even like the iTunes, how music was digitized, with Steve Jobs, like all this stuff. You really look back and connect the dots. All these people faced tremendous fear, but they went through it anyway. Bob, you know how much fear Bob probably had? Bob didn't like talking on stage. I remember he shared that. He said, I was petrified. I didn't know what to say. I didn't think I was enough, and he's talked to millions of people years after years after years. So imagine if he let his fear stop him, we wouldn't be here. So you going through your fear imagine how you would affect other people in the world, your families. Like, think about the magnitude of that. I know that's cause and effect, so fear, use it. Don't run from it. Use it. You just helped me kind of think about that when you were sharing that, Alicia.
Yeah, I think that people are afraid to feel, feel the feelings, the fear, the everything. But all feelings have a story, an impulse, and a purpose. So fear, the story that fear has is that I believe that something may harm me, and I am not clear what to do. This is the story of fear. And the purpose is to avoid what I perceive as a danger. And then the purpose is to help me avoid danger. So all our feelings have a story, a impulse, and a purpose. And I see those as like the fear is like, the panel in the car, you know, and you have a lot of lamps. And when something is wrong in the car, the lamps turn. You don't go and say, "Oh, I leave this car here," or you don't take a hammer and start to 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 hit the car. You say, "Oh, here is a potential danger. I may go to the technician or something to fix that." So all our fears and emotions and feelings are like the panel on the car.
The
It's
signals.
just, yeah,
Signals.
it's just telling us something may not be right there, but it's not to stop the car and start hitting that, but it's to start to think, what should I do with the car? And this is our car. So for me, emotions and feelings are the wisdom of the telling us what to do. But we like, oh, fear, no, oh, it's to keep to not continue this. No.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Mm.
Stay
It's an
and
uncomfortable, it's an, we don't like the feeling of it,
no,
of
no.
fear. I was thinking, you had mentioned the story behind it, and it reminds me of just two little examples. And I don't even know if kids still have, school dances, but I think Sandy uses the example about, you know, the boy sees a girl or someone else on the other side and wants to ask that person to dance, but is so afraid that he or she will say no, right? And sometimes you see it in older movies where the guys are going, "Go ahead, go ask her, go ask her," and the kid's nervous and he goes asks her, and her friends are going, they're laughing at him as he crosses the gym floor, and he asks her and she says no or whatnot, and then he goes back and his friends are laughing at him. So that is like an emotional impact. That kid may not remember that years down the road, it's so far back in the recesses of his mind, but the feeling of being laughed at, the feeling of rejection made made an impact on him. So the fear of being laughed at, or not being good enough or being rejected stayed with him. And just like Alicia was saying, it's a warning signal. You are doing something, you're going to get laughed at. We don't want to be laughed at. We don't like that feeling, right? And another one is, I remember someone telling a story that they had a homework assignment and they thought that this teacher did not care for them. And this person did not complete the homework assignment. And he told the teacher, "I didn't finish it." Well, the teacher was a little upset with them, called him up into the front of the room to make him read in front of the classroom his paper, even though it was not finished. And that moment was an emotional impact. And that caused him in later years to be afraid to speak in front of people.
Mhm.
So it could be these small, what we think may, as an adult, you may look back, well, that was little insignificant, but it doesn't. It left an emotional imprint. And this is why we are fearful of being laughed at, being rejected, thinking we're not good enough. But it's really just a story. It's
Mm.
just a story. But if we ask ourselves, is that true? No, it's not true, but we believe that it's true. And that is what's holding us back because we don't want to relive that feeling again. So it's better to just stay safe than to feel those emotions again of being laughed at, being ridiculed, and being rejected. Yeah, I thought of those
Yeah.
couple of examples.
Thank you so much, Lou, because I was that kid that asked that girl to dance.
Okay.
Oh, wow. You brought back a very vivid memory in middle school. And it was the last dance. And it's funny, she might be watching, but I don't know. I'm married now.
You missed your chance.
I won't say her name, but you know, it was funny because I was sweating like crazy and afraid of her just saying, "No, I don't feel like dancing,"
Mhm.
or another guy to ask her before I could, you know. And I danced a lot in those days, and it was just so much in my head, and that reminds me of the acronym FEAR: false events appearing real.
Mhm.
So a lot of us create this fear out of thin air, out of spirit, infinite intelligence, and we make it real in our heads that, oh, this is going to happen, right? Or what do they think about me? We mentioned that as well. So we're creating all this stuff only in our heads that holds us back, right? From asking that girl to dance or standing in front of the class and reading or whatever that goal is, to introduce yourself to that person you admire, to speak to one of our, amazing coaches here, that you've been watching last year and today,
Mhm.
you know. So another thing that reminded me of is fear. It's learned, right? So the only two things that we're fearful when we're born is loud noises and the fear of falling. Everything else is learned. So that tells you how we allow the outside shape what we believe, right? So why not shift and believe that, spirit is working with you rather than against you? Because that's how you can change your perception on fear. And speaking of fear, let's get very vulnerable here on our next question. What was the scariest challenge you overcame last year that brought you closer to your goals?
I can go. My biggest challenge was to do my TEDx.
Mm.
I was never I think that I have never feel so afraid of something that I got a blackout. First, I set my goals at the end of the year that I wanted to do my TEDx, and these guys started to talk, and the microphone was, they have the microphone many years about the TEDx. And when I decided, they started, yeah, but you don't speak English perfect. You don't do this. How are you going to do? You don't know how to write. You don't know, you know, they gave me, like in the Christmas, you get a lot of food you can pick. This is the same. They put a
Buffet, like a
table
buffet.
full with why I should not go to that. And the fear was there all the time. But I decided that my message, and if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. My message was higher than my fear. So was more worthy than my fear. But I remember the day that we needed to do the audition. We need to do an audition before I got blackout. I didn't know how to start.
Oh,
And I only hear these guys like, you are here, but you are not, you should not be here. All this rubbish that they wanted to tell me. And I remember that I told because they they wanted to film before people came in. So they did that filming, the video of us before, and they wanted to do also when people were there. And when I was like, I don't remember. I, you know, it was like, yeah, but I don't remember what I'm going to talk about. So then the woman there say, "Oh, you are going to talk about this," and then I started, and I felt that I was, I I wanted to vomit. I felt so bad, but I said, "No, I am here. This has been my dream many years, and I will do that." So
mm,
when I took the microphone from those guys, and what I told me was higher that what the volume of those guys, then I was like, and then when in the evening when we needed to do the talk with people there sitting there, I was like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then it was like, yes, I did that. So that's, for me, is like, I wanted to prove to myself that what I teach with this material help. So
Congra- Yay!
wow. I know.
Congratulations.
I think we can actually, because someone mentioned that to me. Why don't you do a TEDx talk, right? And I just think about you, but who
yeah,
knows? I think it may be on my list.
not
That's awesome.
maybe.
Not
No,
maybe. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
do
It will
Um,
be
do.
on my list. Just I don't know when, but it will be on my list. There
Yeah.
you go. I said it.
Yeah.
Lisa, would you mind just sharing just a little bit what TEDx Talk is so people know for
Yeah,
those that don't?
so the TEDx is a platform where they take in people to do a presentation. Your presentation should not be more than 18 minutes. And when you write that, it's like, I got like, you should write only 11 minutes. And then you do this is it's not how is inspirational talks. Is an idea that you share that can transform people's life. It's not when you listen to a talk, you get inspired, but it's not like, yeah, it should be an original idea that how you share that can help people in their life. So it's why the process is it was like 180 that did the applied when did my apply when I applied, and it was we were 6 person. So it's very like, you need to be very careful not to be raw. It should be very um it should be you, but back with science, with something there. And I was talking about authenticity and values. So yeah,
Good.
Mm.
That's
yeah,
awesome. And it's a big platform, I'm guessing,
yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah. So I'm happy that I did that, but that was my biggest, I think, in my life, the biggest terror barrier I have.
And what about so what was the feeling after you did it?
At the moment, I was like, oh, I did that. But it was when people came to me, and when people write in the comments in YouTube for the platform, how that thought, my thought, and how I shared that changed their beliefs. Then, because I was like, is this good? I was so tired. All the
Mm.
trees here was listen to me all 3 months. I want to walk and talk with the trees. And so I was so tired of that. But it was later that it came like, yeah. At the moment, I got like, yes, I did that. But the purpose of the talk was to change life. Yeah.
Mm.
And this when I started to get, I knew that it will change life.
Awesome. Jamel?
Yeah, I want to watch that right now, Alicia. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
search for my name and TEDx, and then it comes.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'll give that a watch. It sounds great. Um, Last year for me was a year transformation. Um, wow. To get really personal here, I worked pretty much traditional jobs my whole life. Around maybe 35 years. And doing coaching and also entrepreneurial business, was very new to me, very new to me. And obviously, if it's new to me, it's new to a lot of people that I know. So it was a lot of fear for me to transition from such a regimented, comfortable employment to being an entrepreneur full time. So, and also, doing mentorship and coaching. So it was a lot of fear for me because it's new territory. I was
Hmm.
freaking out, like, what am I going to do? And it's so perfect because I feel like everything happens at the perfect time, whether we're aware of it or not. And I'm grateful for it. But at first, a lot of fear settles in. When you're doing something new, you're doing something that doesn't make sense to anybody that um, closest people, but in your heart, that it's for you and it's guiding you. So I had to kind of listen to intuition. I prayed, meditated a lot, and sometimes you can try to force things, all right? But what the universe has for you, you kind of have to let go. So it was a lot of fear for me because entrepreneurship allows you to kind of develop yourself personally, right? I was used to just doing what I was told, right? These are my tasks. I need to do this, do that. But here I am. No one's telling me what to do, right? This is all new. So it was a transition for me to grow up personally and professionally and also get out of a lot of comfort zones. Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't really talk to strangers. I just talked to people at whatever job I was at. You know, I didn't go outside of my comfort zone. And this allowed me to develop on so many different ways. We probably wouldn't even be here if I didn't grow in that way. Now that I think about it. So I was shy away. No, I'm okay. I don't want to do Coach's Corner. I don't want to get on camera. I don't want to talk about my life. It's easy. That's the comfort. You go back in your shell. What is that? A hermit crab or whatever, right? Snail. So the biggest fear I had to face is something very unknown for me. And majority of my life, it was massive because for that long, imagine that type of condition. And I'm looking at myself now as I study this material. I'm seeing, wow, I've been shaped this way because of what I had inside. I was fearing who I can become and who I can help and who I'm meant to be at a higher level. So a lot of inflection, like reflection, and I'm able to kind of see from the inside out now, and that's exactly what it is. It was a lot of fear. And some days it tries to revisit me, but I'm like, fear, thank you. But no, thank you. I'm going this way, and that brings me here to this moment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So good. Mhm.
So, probably a lot what you had said, Jamel. I don't know if I had anything in particular that I can really recall because they've all been small steps of fear that I've been going through. They get to be smaller, but I can recall transitioning from being a realtor into a mindset coach or a mindset mentor. And what was going on through my head, well, how do you go from being a realtor, right, to now doing this? And I kept hearing in my own mind, who does she think she is? What is she doing now? Right. So for me at the earlier days, yeah, absolutely. Um, Reaching out to other realtors, telling them what I was doing now, or reaching out to people, um, that that took guts. It took a lot of guts to do. Um, so overcoming those things because I made a decision. So I knew there was no going back. And that's why decision is extremely powerful. Nothing happens until you make a committed decision.
Mhm.
So with that decision, I knew I had to. They kept telling me, well, you got to do Facebook Lives. Oh. I remember one of the trainings that we went to, Doug Dane at the time was he led the consultant division. And we were at training. They got us all worked up. And he says, all right, I want you to do a Facebook Live and then create a Zoom link. And you're going to do a training tonight at 7 p.m. And I was like, and I was terrified. And I did this Facebook Live. And then they showed me how to create a Zoom. I didn't know any of this. And the first 15 minutes, no one showed up. So a friend of mine knocked on the door. We were staying at a hotel. And I was like, yeah, no one came. So let's go. And I just left. I was so relieved no one came on the Zoom. And then come to find out later on, I found out that someone had come on, but I wasn't there. But I was so relieved because I didn't have to go because I was like, do I know what I'm going to talk about? What if they ask me questions? I don't have the answers. So I've done quite a few of them. When I was in real estate, I was in this course called Bold, and they just had you, just stop and go make phone calls to people. And I'm like, ugh. But I kept saying, okay, just do it. Or they had a thing called Bold 100, where you would just go out and ask 100 people for business. So I knew doing it over the phone would take forever, and you had to do it within a 24-hour period. So I just went out my office door and just did it. I went to train stations. I went to hairdresser salons. I went to pizza shops. I just asked for business. But I was so scared to do it. But once I got into the momentum, I was like, okay. So it's the same thing when I shifted my career. There was all these, some steps were bigger than others and some were smaller. But I'm in the momentum now and I've really embraced now. I am no longer a realtor, although I understand what they go through, the different cycles with the market and clients, etc. But I have fully embodied now being the mindset mentor. And that was ultimately the goal, where I walk, talk, show up as her. But it took a lot for me to make that transition mentally and start stepping into that energy and just accepting and allowing that. But I went through all these sometimes bigger, sometimes smaller fears. But I knew that my desire was much stronger than any fear. And I also knew that the fear, because I understood this process, was growth. So every time there was like, I get like, right? Just do it, Lou. Just do it. Okay, okay, okay. Because I know the freedom
Mm.
of achievement, that feeling of achievement, the feeling of, yeah, I did it. I've got this. I've got this is far greater than
Mm.
any chitter chatter that's really just made up. It's a story in my own head. Because if
Yeah.
no one's thinking about me, everyone's thinking about themselves.
Mm.
But I thought the whole world, their eyes were on me, just waiting. Oh, she's gonna fall. She's not right. In my own head, I created that. So
Mm.
again, Jamel, it's just the desire and just keeping your eyes focused on the goal, what you want to achieve, and how much you want to help and serve others. Because I think we can all agree this feeling that we all have by doing what we're doing is so fulfilling, and you can show up as your authentic self. I don't
Mm.
have to wear different hats anymore because I know who I am.
Mm.
And that's part of facing the fear, not showing up as different personalities with different people in different situations. I'm just showing up as Lou. Here she is, 100%, and if you embrace it, great. If not, that's okay. That's okay, but it's all part of facing the fear, but looking at fear as a stepping stone
Yeah.
really, really helps. It's a stepping stone. And if you're not facing fear, you're not growing. It's really quite as simple as that. So you look at it and you go, okay, I guess I'm growing again, right? So you learn to start to embrace it more, for me anyway.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree as well. That was beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. This was a powerful call, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was amazing. Well, any last words and anybody want to share?
Yes.
Oh, look at Lisa. There she goes.
What do we have?
No, it's like be in love with your fear. And as I Lucy say before, see this like a window of opportunity. When you start to see that as an opportunity, and when you, I don't say see if you because they are like love, it's like love your fear and see it as an opportunity to grow, to be more aligned with your soul's desire instead of being in a jail with your ego's fears.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Face
love
the fear and take action.
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So great call. We can talk about this forever,
Oh yes.
but we want to talk to you, our viewers.
Mhm. Yeah.
We want to help you with this material so you can break free from that fear or break through that terror barrier. Bob always shared that we're either creating or we're disintegrating. And if you're not progressing through life, at a higher level each time through your fear, you're stuck. A lot of people are stuck out here. And this is to get an understanding why you're stuck. You have to do something that doesn't make sense, right? You have to go towards where you want to go. And, you can hear all this information, but if you're feeling it in your heart and something spoke to you, it's telling your subconscious that you need to move forward and take that action. What is that action? That action is speaking to one of us that has faced tremendous fear to be where we are. And we'll continuously do it because we know the difference between staying where we were 2024, 2023, 2022 to where we're going this year, every quarter, every month to next year. So
Mhm.
this is getting clarity on who you're becoming, but you have to know where you are right now. If you're still stuck in New Year's resolution and you and you didn't go to the gym and you meant to go to the gym, that's telling you something, right? And the gym is just a simple example. So we want to help you. Don't let this just be information. Don't let this just be a great video and a great conversation. This is your life and this is your future. And we're here for you. What is this? Over 60 years of material put together amazingly, to help people. This stuff is golden, the best I ever had.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful to be able to share it, not just share it, to transform people's lives to the greatness they seek. But you have to choose. Take that choice. We have free complimentary calls. Our links are in the description, or just message us whatever platform you're on. We're here for you. And we're sending you the amazing 2025 and also breaking through all the fear that you've been holding on to, so let's have an amazing year.
I just want to say one thing that you had mentioned, Jamel, that because there's so much information's at our fingertips. You can find it anywhere. What happens is we just keep gathering pieces of a puzzle of information. And when you look down, all you have are all these pieces of the puzzle. Everything sounds good. This quote, oh, this guy said this and she said that. That really was awesome. I loved it. But we have all these pieces of the puzzle, and what do we do with it? And because I did that pretty much my whole adult life. I was just gathering information. Oh, I loved that. Oh, yeah. Did you read that? That was so good. Yeah. Did you watch that? Yeah. Awesome. But it wasn't until I started working with Bob in this material that took all those pieces of the puzzle and actually gave me the cover of the puzzle box. So now I knew how to put the pieces together. So what we share with you is the foundation. I believe this with every cell in my body. Thinking into results is the foundation. It's so foundational. This is what you need first. Instead of trying to build upon sand, build a rock solid foundation first. Get to know you, get to know how your mind works, get to know why you do the things you do or not do the things that you could do or should do. You got to understand you first. So this is so foundational. And then you can start adding other pieces on top of your foundation. So obviously I'm super passionate about getting that message across. So reach out. Don't just keep gathering more information, because really you're just spinning your wheels. Get some help.
Yeah. Well said, Lou. Well said. And I'm also you reminded me to give the exercise, or posting an exercise in the comments of this post. So make sure you partake in that, because that is just one little step towards the direction you want to go. So apply yourself, so I'll put that in the comments there. And you'll see that they're available as well for you to apply this information, and you can experience it instead of just hearing it, Yeah. Great call. This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you next Sunday, the 12th. All right. So.
Yeah. Praxis. I think it's praxis. Oh, what is that? Find out next week.
There we go. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year.